Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with Battle Report. So this is my last Nova pregame. Nova refers to the Northern Virginia Grand Tournament that was this last weekend. So this game right here is on the Friday night before the tournament against a YouTube subscriber that had set up to play a game, and I was very excited to do so. I don't play Tomb Kings very often, and it gave me a chance just to play around with a variant on the list that I've been using. This tournament does not require you to turn in lists ahead of time. They check them at the door the morning of the tournament. So Malorian said that he thought my list was too character heavy, so I yanked out most all my characters, took almost all the upgrades off my characters, and put in more bodies on the field, and so thought I would give it a go. So let's see, I'll go through the Tomb King's army first. He's got some scouting horsemen on the right. Then he's got behind this hill 2 Caskets of Souls. Now their spell is a direct damage spell, so they don't need line of sight. And the way we thought this tournament was using hills was they are infinitely high, you can't see over them. We found out the next day that the way it was going to be played in the tournament is if you're on a hill, you can see over another hill. So makes sense, that's fine. But the reason he's hiding these behind the hill, I can't see him, so I can't charge him, I can't do anything else. He can still cast his direct damage spell. Big unit of Tomb Guard. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the one on the far left is the Tomb King, and the one right next to him is Ramhotep, the special character, which gives that unit Frenzy. And I want to say they had Hatred and Frenzy. And I don't know if they come with Hatred or if that character gives them Hatred or if my memory's just bad. So I'm pretty sure they have Hatred and Frenzy. But that's a pretty tough unit. They're toughness 4, so they're not super easy to kill, but they can dish out a lot of damage. And plus he's got a spell with the Lore of Nehekara that allows him an extra attack each. So yeah, that's obviously his big combat block. He's got a small bunker, small 7th edition, that would have been a big bunker, a small bunker of archers with 2 Lich Priests, and I know one of them has a channeling staff. One has Lore of Nehekara, I think, and the other one I'm pretty sure, and I think the other one has Lore of Death. I could be wrong there. There's Colossus behind it, and then he's got a unit of 6 chariots. He's got a unit of Fast Cav on the far left, and then he's got a couple Tomb Scorpions. So I've got 2 cannons in my far left corner. Then I've got Inner Circle Knights, and instead of the Archlector that I've been running, I just have a Warrior Priest, and he just has cheap upgrades, nothing special about him. Very, very, very cheap. Then I've got my block of 50 Halberdiers. I've got 2 Archer detachments, and I've got my BSB front corner right. And I want to say I gave the Enchanted Shield, and other than that, he has nothing. So I think he has a 2-up armor save, and that's it. On the hill, you can see my Hellblaster volley gun. So I don't have a Master Engineer. I said going into it, like if I have to lose characters, the Master Engineer makes the Hellblaster volley gun good. I don't think he does a lot for cannons. And it was fun. Anyway, that turned out to be kind of ironic, which you'll know why in just a second. So, and if I knew about the hill rules, I would have had my cannons on the hill shooting his caskets, but I didn't know it. I've got my Hurricanum. I've got a level 4. If you look at my Greatsword unit, front left, level 4. It's my general. They've got the standard discipline, so he's given leadership 9. He has a scroll. I don't remember if I give him a ward save or not. So let's see. I don't have my Captuses. I don't have a Master Engineer. The Archlector was downgraded to a Warrior Priest. I don't have the Warrior Priest on foot that I normally have with my Halberdiers. And I don't have my Pistoliers. So that's what I gave up. But in exchange for all that, I get a Horde of Greatswords. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. Horde of Greatswords, are kind of nice. And they can be tough to shift because they're, stubborn 8, 4-up armor save, all that. Anyway, Demigryph Knights, I think I gave them the Banner of Eternal Flame. It doesn't matter in this game. Then, of course, I got the Stank because it is so freaking awesome for the points. So it looks like that would go to Empire turn 1. Yeah, I told myself I was gonna keep my army really far back for at least a turn, maybe 2, to take advantage of my shooting, because I find that I move up with my shooting and then I don't have line of sight, or I'm in combat too soon, and I might as well just take advantage of it. And even though I can't see his Caskets of Souls, I can see his Tomb Guard unit, and I can target them, and if I get a good bounce, I can hit the casket behind him. So that's what I'm thinking there. So the Knights move up on the left. It's going to be kind of a chess match between my Knights and his Chariots. Demigryphs and Steam Tank move up on the right. Now, the Steam Tank, I think, misfired on turn 1, and I took 3 wounds. So I don't know if he moved. I think he moved up some, but basically, yeah, he took some wounds. I think it was like you gain D3 Steam points and lose D3 wounds, and I rolled a 3. So I'm at like 7 Steam points, which doesn't do any good. and down to 7 wounds. Go to shooting phase. Cannon number 1 misfires, blows up. Cannon number 2 misfires, turns around. Fantastic. Just perfect. Wonderful. Yeah, the Hellblaster target is fast cav, killed a few of them. Go to Tomb King's turn 1. He really didn't move much. You can see him kind of shifting a little bit with his units. He's trying to get his Tomb Guard away from my Steam Tank and towards my Demigryph Knights. Tomb Guard against Demis is a good matchup for him. My goal, if I can get the Steam Tank into his Tomb Guard and get my Demis into his bunker unit, he's toast. Because I'll make short work of the archer unit. Steam Tank will hold those Grave Guard or Tomb Guard probably all game and give me plenty of time to get my troops up there and flank charge and all that. And that's assuming I can keep the Steam Tank alive. But I think he has Lord of Death, and he's got those 2 caskets. So, yeah, so the caskets can't hurt me once I'm in combat, but the Lord of Death I think still can. I think. Who knows? Anyway. Over here, he's still keeping... He wants me to charge his fast cav so he can countercharge with his chariots. I'm trying not to take that bait. So, over here, I had 3 wounds. He is targeting... You can see him salivating over the Steam Tank. He's got 2 caskets of souls. He's got a Death Wizard. He's throwing everything he can at this thing. I've got a scroll of level 4, and we're going back and forth. He gets some spells through and takes the Steam Tank down to 3 wounds. He's taken 7 wounds so far. It's turn 1. That Steam Tank... my opponent knows that I want my Steam Tank tying up his combat block, and it's not going for that one bit. The Casket of Skull Scale bounces from the Steam Tank, hits the Demis, does a couple wounds, hits the Great Swords, does a couple wounds, and I think after that it fizzled out. So Empire turn 2. Yeah, the Steam Tank can't do a whole lot because he's down to 3 wounds. So anything I roll, I'm misfiring, and I'm actually okay with that. I don't mind misfiring as long as I don't go for 5. But a lot of times I just can't do a whole lot with him. So he's not really moving up. So that means I can't really move up my Demigryph Knights because I don't want to be charged by his Graveguard. You can see my infantry troops are now moving up. The Hurricanum I'm shifting to the side, so his fast cav can't just run rampant behind my lines. He's just kind of holding him at bay. If he gets too close, I'll charge him. Yeah, there's that in case you wanted a close up. And on the far left, my thinking here is obviously I'm not going to charge those fast cav. I want to get closer, but the fast cav are just they're kind of a problem right now. So I'm just going to move my archers over and shoot at them, hope to get lucky. And once they're done, I'll figure out a way to deal with his chariots. Magic phase. The Steam Tank was down to 3 wounds. I cast Regrowth on it with Throne of Vines up, d6 plus 1. Roll a 6. Steam Tank is completely healed. I get a wound back on my Demigryph Knights. I had this amazing magic phase, and I don't remember why, what happened. My opponent just rolled and failed to dispel something and lost his +4, whatever it was. But I have Throne of Vines up still. I think he didn't dispel it. I got the Regrowth spell off, and then I got the Toughness buff off on the Demigryph. So Demis are rocking Toughness 8 right now. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Then, during the shooting phase, I try to shoot the chariot. I misfire and take d3 wounds. I roll a 3, so I'm back from full health, back down to 7 wounds remaining. So this thing is just a yo-yo going back and forth. Tomb King's turn 2, both of his scorpions come up. That's a real bummer because what I was hoping for was that only one would pop up on a turn. I could turn my Hellblaster around and take care of it. Well, the Hellblaster on my last turn misfired and failed and rolled can't shoot this turn or next. So, and for it to misfire, it means I had to roll 2 misfires out of the 3 dice. So not having the Master Engineer is absolutely killing me this game. Nevertheless, it looks like that. He's still keeping his fast cav on the left where they were. Now here he makes just I think it was a big mistake, and the only reason it might not be a mistake, I think it's a mistake because all I have to do is if he doesn't kill my Steam Tank, and if I can generate Steam points, which is dicey because if he gets me down on wounds, I may not be able to. But if I can just pivot and charge that unit of Necropolis Knights, and I'm going to win that. So his thinking, either he didn't know the Steam Tank could do that, or his thinking might have been that the Steam Tank was either going to be dead or so low on wounds that that's not going to be an issue, or something like that. But even if I do charge him, it gets my Steam Tank away from his Grave Guard, his Tomb Guard, which allows them to get up my Demigryph Knights, and that's a win for him. So, intentional or not, it's a very It's a gamble, and it could pay off. He gets Doom and Darkness off. I did not need Doom and Darkness off of my Steam Tank. So now if he gets a Lore of Death spell or either of those two casket spells, it's going to be really tough to save this thing. So he's got 7 wounds left. Doom of Darkness goes off, and I stop the one casket of skull, and he rolls the other one. 2 dice. He needs a 5, and he rolls less than a 5. That has to be frustrating. The Steam Tank survives. Empire turn 3. Yeah, big news is if you look on the right, the Steam Tank generates steam points, doesn't misfire. You figure I had a 50-50 chance of misfiring, and he gets a charge into his Acropolis Knights. I go ahead and take my demis into his Tomb Guard. Now I don't know why I was thinking. If you see they're off kilter, which means we're not maximizing models in combat. I don't know what I was thinking, but basically when we got to combat, we shifted them over, and yeah, whatever. So that is not a good combat for me unless I have Throne of Vine still up. If I can get the toughness buff off at toughness 8, now we have a pretty good chance. Even if I don't win it eventually, I'll give up the Demigryph Knights if I can just whittle that unit down so that then my combat blocks can get in there and finish them off. So I'm okay with all that. Now on the left, I've got a gambit going where he had moved his fast cav. I charged the fast cav with my archers just to, hopefully just try to tie him up. Take the warrior priest out of the inner circle knights and put him where you see him, and left my inner circle knights where you see them. So my thinking is sacrifice the warrior priest. If he runs off the table, he's got to come back on the table. Actually, let me tell you what I was thinking at the time. My thinking at the time was he charges the warrior priest. I'm just going to flee off the table. He can redirect if he wants to my knights. He's very, very unlikely to get it, but he'll be closer, and I should be able to get the counter charge with my knight. So basically just sacrificing a cheap warrior priest to get it. I think in hindsight what would have worked just as well is just keep 6 inches away with my inner circle knights, let him charge a warrior priest if he's going to do that, angle him such that he can't hit my knights and go off the table. He can overrun off the table all he wants. He's got to come back on at some point, and I get a free charge with my knights. So in hindsight, that was what would have worked. I had half the plan figured out. Guys, it was all on the cuff. It's not like I had a lot of time to think about that strategy. So I was half there and just couldn't quite make it. The Hurricanum, I pull all the way down here to keep his fast cav at bay, which in hindsight is just really stupid. I need to get that thing up near my troops where it gives a +1 bonus to hit. The fast cav aren't going to do any harm to me. So major mistake with the Hurricanum. Just really misplayed that. Here's another picture of everything. And here's my one hope for the cannon. I'm going to shoot. I can actually pivot the cannon and get a line through those scorpions, and everything else is positioned such that I can draw a line and it doesn't risk hitting any of my troops. So I can do a legal shot there, which means I pretty much have to roll really low for the first die and get a great bounce. But short of that, yeah, that's going to be tough. Here's this gambit. Again, I should have had the knights closer so that I just needed to make sure that if his chariots charge my guy, they can't overrun into my knights, and I'd probably be best to keep them 6 inches away so I don't have to take a panic test. But anyway, that's how I set it up. There's this. Yeah, that's good for the Empire. Moving on up the troops. I really like if those demis can just, if I can get the toughness buff on there, go to the magic phase, I get the toughness buff. Go to the shooting phase, and my cannon misfires and blows up. And I like the poetic justice of that because his tomb scorpions pop up and now he can't kill me. I taught him. And yeah. So these guys actually punked my steam tank for 1 wound. He's down to 6. Yeah, we're in combat, and you can't cast direct damage into combat, so I'm safe from his spells. So this actually worked really well for me because I think I'll finish the Sky off next turn during his phase, and then during my phase I can move him and do whatever. Over here, yeah, the archers destroy the fast cav, run 11 inches right in front of his cavalry, which isn't a big deal. I think he'll just have to charge him first. I think I'll just flee and then see what the original gambit can happen still. So over here, I charge in there. I can't get past his toughness 4. I'm strength 5, strength 6 with my knights. I can't get past his toughness 4. It was the most frustrating thing. I did some wounds. I don't remember how many. He's actually missing. I shouldn't complain. He's missing a bunch of guys. It looks like I killed. Well, yeah, it looks like I killed probably 10. Anyway, I'm toughness 8, so he has hatred and frenzy and all that. That's fantastic. You've got to roll a 6 to wound, pal. Yeah, so he rolls 6s to wound left and right. He rolled enough of them that he's strength 5, so I'm a 3-up armor save. After my armor saves, I still lose 5 wounds. Yeah, I win combat, but that did not go nearly as well as I had hoped. I don't know how many wounds I thought I was going to do. But anyway, that's how it turned out. Toughness 8 didn't quite help. I thought he just wasn't going to do any wounds to me, or maybe just, 6s to wound, and I got a 3-up armor. I thought I was going to do a lot better, but he just, rolled 6s when he needed them. Tomb King's turn 3. One Scorpion charges the rear of my Hellblaster volley gun. The other one moves towards Knights. I really don't like that. I really, really don't like that. So it looks like he charges my my archers, and they flee, and then he redirects to my warrior priest, and he fails. But he doesn't move up much. So, looking like that. That was after combat, so really not a whole lot happened. I didn't kill much with him, he didn't kill much with me this time. Whoever won or lost, we all stuck. And my steam tank was able to pop off his last knight dude snake thingy. Now look on the hill. The Scorpion charges into the rear of my Hellblaster volley gun. It did 1 wound. You've got to be kidding me. That is the toughest Hellblaster volley gun I've ever seen. So I go and charge it in the rear with my archers. I figure, he could kill my Hellblaster, but that's only going to give him 2 wounds, and I got a charge in the rear. I'm up 3 already, so you never know. There's that. If you look on the far right, my Hurricanum charges his fast cav, which is just silly on my part. But I'll get those points, but I don't have the Hurricanum near my troops. There we go. Yeah. That's a cool picture, though. Here on the left, so I charge my warrior priest and my knights into his chariots. Just really not a smart play. The knights needed a high roll. I think I needed to roll a 10. And with Swift Stride, I know it can happen, but it also can fail very easily, and it failed. So here's the problem. I'm not going to pop him with my warrior priest, and if I lose and he breaks me in combat, he's got an easy charge to my knights, and that's just going to spell doom for the knights. So after combat, the fast cav's done. The steam tank is just sitting there, so my guess is I misfired because I'm 50-50 chance of misfiring, and I lost my steam points. He's just sitting there doing nothing. After combat, I'm toughness 8, and they don't care. They do another 4 wounds to me, and this gambit worked in the sense that it's held up his tomb guard, but it's not working because I really thought and hoped that I'd be able to whittle this unit down more, and the whittling is not happening. Plus, of course, he can raise him in his turn. After combat here, I do 1 wound to him. He does none to me. I have charge and a wound. He's got a rank and a banner, and it's a push. And if he has a musician, then he won by 1, and I stuck, and whatever. Tomb King's turn 4. Look at the left. The Scorpion charges my knights in the rear and makes it. Not a super long charge. Wasn't insanely lucky. Just really, really bad for the knights because he's got Killing Blow, and obviously that negates armor. Otherwise, there's really not a whole lot of movement going on. Yeah, that is really, really not good for Inner Circle Knights. So he breaks my last remaining Demigryph model. Overruns a ton and hits my great swords. Now look at that big template in the middle of the table. That's a vortex that if every model that hits it, I think takes a strength 4 hit or something like that. And he overran and charged my great swords on his turn. So my turn, I can actually countercharge with my halberdier unit before we do any of the fighting. So as it is now, I think his Tomb Guard are going to eat up my great swords. They're a lot of attacks. They just ate a whole unit of Demigryph Knights. Both of us at this point are thinking the Empire things just took a really bad turn. Okay, so I do have a rules question for you, and it didn't matter in this game, but it came up, and I just was wondering about it. So if you only have one model left, the model's a standard bearer. He breaks from combat. Technically, he doesn't flee away necessarily. He does and he doesn't, because as soon as he flees, he dies, right? So the question is, does he flee? Can you pursue and get that overrun? Like, it's not that you charge in and get it overrun. It's you're pursuing a fleeing unit. When there's only one model and it's a standard bearer, does he still, in theory, flee? So therefore, does the victor still pursue? Because if not, then the Graveguard could not have charged my greatswords. Now in this game, I don't care, but it was intriguing. And I'd love an answer for that. After combat, it looks like this. I only lost one knight. Didn't do any wounds to him, but that's just really, really bad. Over here, it is as you can see it. So, Empire turn 5. So the first brilliant move that Once Bitten does is I charge the Battle Standard Bearer's unit into the flank of the Tomb Guard, thinking I'm going to hit that vortex, maybe half the unit's going to hit it, and I'm going to use a quarter of the unit, I'll be okay. It wasn't half the unit, it looks like I'm not going to hit it much, but by the time I get around into the flank of that Tomb Guard, almost the whole unit had to take a strength 4 hit. I lost almost half the unit. Then I failed my rerollable 9 panic test and ran away. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Steam Tanks comes on. Let's see. He's sitting on 7 wounds. He's been a yo-yo back and forth. Kind of, I'm regrowing him. He's doing wounds to him. I was hoping I could charge him into the flank of the Tomb Guard, but that wasn't to be. He didn't roll high enough. And things are really bad. The other really bad thing is I got my level 4. Again, I don't know if he has a ward save or not, but I've got all these Tomb Guard riding up against him, ready just to take him out in close combat. Oh, look at that. This was absolutely, for the second time this game, I had the magic phase. I have Throne of Vines up. I got the regen spell. I've never liked that signature spell until this game. These guys have a 4-up regen, and they've got toughness 8. And he just couldn't do many wounds to me. He couldn't even touch my Wizard Lord. I mean, Wizard Lord's sitting there at toughness. There's toughness 7, not 8. He's sitting there at toughness 7. They can't put a wound through on him. He does some wounds to my greatswords, not many. They go to town. They're hitting on 4s. I mean, I don't know why they did so well, to be honest. There's just so many attacks. I was hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s. Did a bunch of wounds to him, and then, of course, he crumbled. And he crumbles down to where he has 2 characters with, I think, 1 wound on. He took a wound on each of them so that he could save 2 models from his unit so he could regrow them. Because at first he just pulled off the whole unit, just had 2 characters, and then we talked about it and said, look, if you put wounds on the characters, you can regrow your unit. So yeah, that took a big swing. On the left flank, not quite so much. Warrior Priest broke from combat, and he overran and got a charge into my knights. Inner Circle Knights are not going to survive that. So during his magic phase, he regrows some Tomb Guard, but really not many. Yeah, not many. Certainly too little, too late. After combat, we just totally destroy him, and it looks like that. I don't know why I reformed him that way. There was a reason for me reforming him that way, and I just don't remember why. Empire turn 6. The great swords go into his bunker. My BSB's unit rallies. I also took musicians out. I think army-wide I had no musicians. So I was, and in this thing, if you're fleeing at the end of the game, it counts as if you're dead. So I was rallying on an 8 with no reroll. I was a little bit nervous and kicking myself for not having a musician there. Steam Tank comes over trying to get one shot off on his Colossus or whatever, and it fails. And so I beat up that unit. I think I killed one Lich Priest. His general, or not his general, but his Hierophant. He has some, whatever save he has, he's able to make it. So I put every attack I could on his Hierophant, and I still left him with 1 wound left, which is everything. I mean, because he has a powerful magic phase. My guys are still toughness 8, of course. On the left-hand side of the board, I mean, I don't know if you saw it or not, but yeah, obviously he just totally destroyed my knights. And over here, did everything he could, every magic spell he could to try to get the steam tank off. And the steam tank is only at 6 wounds. He doesn't even get half points for the steam tank. I don't know how many wounds he did to him all game. That thing went up and down, up and down. He kept on doing wounds. I'd regrow him. Doing wounds. I'd regrow him. Yeah, just had to have been frustrating for him. Obviously, the great swords mopped up his bunker unit. And then when it came time to crumble, one of his caskets blew up. It crumbled to death. And we didn't make the other one take the test. I realized later that the other one should have taken a test for being within so many inches of a casket, but it doesn't matter. So that thing was like I couldn't kill them all game, and one of them blew up when he crumbled. So yeah, that was it. Over here on the left, obviously the knights were gone. We're both trying to grab watchtower points for this just weird scenario objectives here, and wrapped up like that. So he has his Colossus and his chariots, a steam tank, and a casket. And I've got the steam tank, halberdiers. I'm missing all my chaff units. Like my war machines and the warrior priest, and then one major block beam inner circle knights. So obviously a win for the Empire.